rising, falling, and then rising again. I mean, it's just the fluidity of the business is quite something, isn't it? Yet the value of owning property as a path to wealth and belonging remains consistent, interestingly enough. And by the block, the belief is very clear that it is not just about purchasing bricks and mortar, it's about securing a certain kind of lifestyle. It's about securing a location and a future that feels right. We're going to be looking at this. We're going to be speaking to Mahlatsi Motau, who is Managing Director at By the Block. And we really are going to be looking at the heart of this particular message. We're going to look at what the truth is. Are these just words? Are these just... Are these statistics that we are mentioning here based on something? But of course, By the Block would know better. And we're going to be unpacking this and really looking at where things stand from an investment point of view in the year 2025 and beyond. Let's have a conversation. Mahlatsi, good afternoon. Welcome to Channel Africa. I'm guessing that property is still the way to go, just based on my introduction there.
No. Good afternoon to the both of you also, but it definitely is. That's one thing I can tell you, that's for sure.
I really need to know, Mahlatsi, when it comes to... We were having our own conversations earlier about how times have changed. We have become nomads. We can work from anywhere. When you are saying property is still a great investment, are we seeing people buy more property? And when they buy it, are they buying it for themselves, for personal use, or are they using it as investment opportunities? They are turning them into Airbnbs. They are leasing them out. How have those dynamics changed the way that we are buying property, because we can pretty much work from anywhere now?
Yeah. So to be honest with you, it varies from like one area to another. But what I'd like to point out is, remember like during the COVID, the pandemic, we just had a period where, as you said, people were nomads, particularly working from home. So we've also realized that there was a bit of a shift in the market, right? Because I think majority of people were enclosed in like tight spaces. Yeah. So you kind of realized at that point in time, is like, I really need a bit more room. And, if you were a family or possibly just looking for something bigger, we saw that there was a lot more people actually purchasing full title. So when I mean by full title, they were purchasing houses. So whether it be freestanding in estates or clusters. Whereas with the apartments, it became a bit more stagnant. So those who were buying were relatively buying for investment purposes. But as a primary, purchaser per se, we've just seen that there's been a bit of a shift in the market, whereas we're seeing a bit more turnaround with people purchasing, I'd say, houses. Because now from there, you can, as we said, as a digital nomad per se, you could work from home, have that space. Whereas now everything just seems to be seamless, and you can literally conduct your life in the comfort of your own room.
That is interesting. And also, I mean, we use lifestyle, it's such a broad term, a lot has changed in a very, very short space of time. And you used COVID as an example. Let's do this. Let's take a break. And then I'd like us to really unpack what lifestyle change really looks like. I think, especially in urban areas where there is a lot of people that are looking to purchase properties. We're back with Mahlatsi after this.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Call us on +27 63 406 9126 and contribute to the conversation.
21 into 2 p.m. in Central African time. Thank you for staying with us and welcome back. On the line with Mahlatsi Motau of Buy the Block. And listen, they know all there is to know when it comes to the property market, looking at South Africa as an example, and how lifestyle changes and shaping and shifting is influencing how people buy property. Mahlatsi, you were talking about, sort of the lifestyle and the purchasing of property is dependent on area, right? So let's expand on that. Let's look at, purchasing of areas. What is popular? How are people now living, outside the digital nomadic way of living? What other lifestyle changes are influencing how we view property buying, especially from a primary residence perspective?
Yeah, so with that one, it can be a bit broad, right? So at the end of the day, it does scale down to your affordability. So that's one of the biggest factors. So in terms of also what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a house and you're primarily looking to nearby areas in terms of how much you can afford. So I'll give a good example. There's an area that we kind of just a little bit more busy in at the current moment. It's called Blagari. It kind of offers families or potential clients larger space. So anything from 1,000 squares plus, a decently sized home for primarily less than what they would pay if they were to go slightly further up into like your areas of Bryanston. And it's kind of a drastic difference when it comes to the pricing. So a lot of the people, they look and see as to what they can afford, what they can get, and what will be beneficial for them in the long run. So a good number of years, whether you are looking to, get married, whether you're trying to build a family house, also uproot your family, whether you're from another location, moving into another one. So pricing has always been a biggest factor in terms of what do I get out for how much I pay, because certain areas can yield less, whereas another area can literally yield twice as much or 3 times more as to what another area just across the road could actually have.
Mahlatsi, for young people, maybe first-time buyers, who feel that ownership is quite out of reach, where can they start? How can we make it a bit more accessible to them?
So honestly speaking, that's why being a young person myself, I'm 27 years old. And when I look at, let's base it off my friends, it's not really something I'd say you should necessarily rush into. Rather, do your research first. Understand as to where you are now in life and also your place of employment, what's coming up along the way. If you're primarily looking for a place that you're going to stay at, and kind of do your market research. Don't necessarily jump the gun and just purchase a property because I really just want to buy a place and have, ownership. Make sure you do your due diligence, which is a very important that I feel like first-time home buyers don't necessarily do or kind of look into as much, because you're buying into an area maybe you're not too familiar with, but because it might offer you that whole lifestyle package from the amenities. So you've got the pools, you've got the gyms and all of that, but you find that this is not where I want to be in the long run, and also the pricing for that place might be a bit harder for you to sell if you want to not. So that's what I'm saying, doing your due diligence, seeing as to how the market is within that area you want to buy into. Unless if it's for investment purposes, it can vary a bit. As long as it's in an area whereas there's a good amount of people renting, and also it's very much central to business districts, that does help you, and it is beneficial if you are looking to bring a tenant into the place. But for your own primary residence, I think also just be sure, because it's not just an investment, just an easy investment to make, because you will be physically living in there. So I think primary thing is the due diligence, which is what I think first-time home buyers should do and focus on more, and understanding the costs that go into potentially buying a property. And also this is also price dependent, because it's a commitment that you make.
Okay, so a part of doing one's due diligence, I knew that word would get me,
Yeah.
is obviously focusing on location. That is a very smart
Yes.
move. Many, property experts will tell you location is everything. So
Yeah.
obviously, if I purchase, just as an example, a 2-bedroom flat in Morningside in Cape Town, it's not going to be the same as when I buy a house in Orange Grove in Johannesburg, right? Two
Yeah. So
completely
yeah,
different areas. So how do I know
very
that
much so.
I'm choosing the right location for my long-term goals? But everyone's got different long-term investment goals. So how do I know I'm picking the right location?
So when it comes to picking the right location, when it comes to what we do, we can't necessarily tell you, what, or let me just put it this way: we can't tell you to not buy in a specific area because some people, they've looked around a bit and they've realized maybe Orange Grove is where I want to be, or Lagari is where I want to be. So it does kind of come down to where you see yourself living. What we can do is we can suggest other areas that aren't too far, because now this is what we majority of the time do is we'd ask clients who come into, someone comes into your house, we'd ask them as to which areas they're looking into. So if, for example, we're selling a house in I'd say Saxonwold, give or take, we would then from there suggest other areas that are nearby, similar price point, that kind of give off the same range in terms of space, in terms of the house, the land, and also what the house offers. So always kind of speak to your agent also. Ask them to recommend areas. Tell them exactly like you work around a certain area or your kids go to a certain school, just so you can kind of center your life around those aspects, because it's very important. But also don't just dial it down to one area, because there are other areas just nearby or might be just slightly further out, but could be a little bit more beneficial. So that's why it's very important to ask the right questions prior.
Mahlatsi, if we would like to ask more questions and those listening in at home would like to reach out to you, where can they find you on By the Block and personally, perhaps on social media?
Yeah, so you can find us at www.bytheblock.co.za. That's where you'll see all of our listings, but also on socials. You can find us on Instagram at By the Block. So we are primarily active there. So even if people have any sort of questions whatsoever, they can send us a direct message, and then we will just assist them from there.
Okay, this was very informative, very helpful. Location is everything. Your lifestyle is everything.
Due diligence.
Do your due diligence today, not tomorrow. Immediately, if not sooner. Mahlatsi, thank you very much for the time.
No, but thank you guys for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Clearly, Mahlatsi specializes in Blagari. He mentioned that quite a bit.
Blagari is in Randburg, right? Randburg area is here in,
greater area.
Here in Johannesburg, right? It's a beautiful part. And he mentioned space. He mentioned the fact that, a lot of the buyers now are looking for space. You don't want to be cramped up on an apartment. You want some yard. You want the kids to run around. You want the dogs to run around if you've got pets. And I think Blagari is definitely one of those places. It's 30 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's check in with Fikile Lingwati with what's happening in the world of sports.
Sports.